Have you ever thought about how the recent Assassin's Creed games lack some things that were present back in the OG Assassin's Creed games? I actually completed the Assassin's Creed series in ascending order 2 years ago, like from Assassin's Creed 1 to Valhalla in a proper order. But after a certain point, I just felt that this series has changed a lot. In the beginning, I used to think about what exactly is getting changed in the series that is resulting in this negative growth. There can be multitudes of reasons, but the most important one, in my opinion, would be the narrative. Now, what does narrative exactly mean? I would say it is the way of telling a story by properly sequencing a set of events and portraying it in a very impactful way. In simple terms, it improves the story of the game. There are numerous elements that impact the narrative of a story. Let's start with the number one, structure of the game. All games have a specific structure that can hugely impact the story of a game. For example, some games will not let you continue a mission unless you have a specific level, have a specific gear, or any sort of created barrier to lengthen the game. Now, some people actually like this grind, but in my opinion, that takes your interest away from the story. For some people, it can be rewarding, but a lot of people play story games for fun and not grinding. They want to lose all their stress and not get stressed while they're playing, right? In my opinion, there should be an option for both of these type of players. Now, there is an option for guided and exploration mode, but there should be an option for a grind mode versus a fun mode, to be honest. What if I just want to enjoy the story and I'm not necessarily into grinding? Sure, a little bit of grinding is not bad, but once the amount of time it takes to grind for leveling up exceeds the amount of the overall story, I just think it enters into the bloating territory. Plus, the whole reward system gets changed because of this. For example, when I see people appreciating the RPG Assassin's Creed games, specifically, they don't necessarily talk about the story, but the gears, XP, tools, and other stuff. I mean, till a certain point, these things are fine, but crossing the line kind of changes the whole experience, in my opinion. Number two would be choosing the gender of the character. To be honest, I just find this thing to be pretty weird because realistically, no man and woman are gonna have similar lives. Women have certain advantages and disadvantages. The same goes for men. For example, if you play Assassin's Creed Liberation, there is a persona system you can use. Evelyn has 3 available disguises or personas: the assassin, the lady, and the slave. Each changes her navigational skills, strength, speed, and blending options. It is very realistic in my opinion. Also, if you play as a man, you're gonna do something different, right? So I just don't think realistically this thing makes a lot of sense, to be honest. I'd be very okay to only have female protagonists because the majority of the time we've had male protagonists, right? But maybe we'll able to see a more realistic scenario with those female protagonists, right? Like for example, there can be a game which shows how women got their right to get vote and stuff like that. That would kind of make sense, right? So that is what I'm trying to say, that these games should obviously portray some kind of realism, and in my opinion, when there's character options, obviously they keep the story kind of similar with both the genders. So I just feel like it's gonna be drastically different for a man and a woman. Third is having some sort of Assassin Templar conflict. This thing quite frankly makes what Assassin's Creed is. I know it is better in Mirage though. That's why I appreciate Mirage in that regard. Now, this point does not take that much explanation as this is pretty straightforward. I just don't want to feel that the game is everything else other than having assassins and Templars in it. On number 4, we have the dialogue system. I feel like this thing should just not exist, to be honest. It feels cool to get the consequence of your actions, but ultimately it breaks immersion because a lot of people just want to enjoy the uncertainty of the story. What makes you surprised after watching a certain movie? That a protagonist does something very surprising and unexpected, and when we are choosing all the things, all the dialogues, we kind of know the consequences that are going to happen, right? We kind of guess it already. But there is another problem, that is, if you have these many dialogue options, obviously the developers are not going to record all those cutscenes with the specific option. They are just going to use automation in that. And speaking of automation, we move to our next point, and that is number 5th, non-mocap dialogues. As I mentioned previously, having choices kind of forces the developers to start using automation in the game. And when automation comes, the dialogues in the game automatically lose quality because of it. We have still not reached a level where the AIs have started showing proper facial expressions just by recording. They will be talking about something, but the facial expressions will just not properly communicate the emotions behind it. An example of good mocap dialogues will be in LA Noire. Now, the game is pretty good, but the dialogues in this game are just insanely natural and good. The way their faces get wrinkled and distorted when they are doing a specific expression is mind-blowing. Even the OG Assassin's Creed games had better dialogues. And it's not just about the facial expressions, it also includes any sort of gesture, voice manipulation, and small details when people actually talk. On number 6th, we have cinematography. I have been a huge proponent of this specific thing because I have actually studied this thing in college. In the recent Assassin's Creed games, these things have also been downgraded in my opinion, and I think again it is because of the reasons I mentioned above. Like, if you're just gonna use non-mocap dialogues in the game with complete automation, what will be the point of adding proper cinematography on top of it? It's gonna look stupid in my opinion. I feel like Rockstar Games has mastered the art of cinematography, but in the game, everything else is just perfect, right? So the cinematography properly fits above everything else. Their camera movement is very dynamic, and that conveys the dialogue properly. And it also makes the dialogues more engaging in general, to be honest. There's actually a mocap cutscene in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which can show you the importance of using proper mocap and cinematography. This was probably the only scene in Assassin's Creed Valhalla that was mocapped, and you might be shocked if you don't know about this thing already. So just see this cutscene and then watch the other cutscenes in Valhalla and then figure out for yourself how much difference there is.
You've traveled so far to carry out your duty. Is this the life of a hidden one? Always on the move?
Mine is not the usual path. The Creed does travel. Our ideals are universal. We believe that.
So there's nowhere you call home?
No place I call home. No.
Weird.
For me, home is family. But I have no family.
No one? Not even Hytham?
Parents, brothers, all dead.
I lost my parents when I was 9 winters alone. Without Sigurd, I would have...
There is always one unbreakable bond.
Yes.
Children. They bewilder you. They can cause you so much worry. Fill you with joy. Even stop your heart. And if you're lucky, they replace you.
Anyways guys, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, by the way, and I know this is something different, but I have actually talked about these points before in my videos. I just have added some more things which focus specifically on the narrative part of the game, and I want to hear what you guys think about the whole situation. What's happening in Assassin's Creed right now and what was different back then, and what do you personally think has changed a lot in these many years. Make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it. Consider subscribing because I make these type of Assassin's Creed videos kind of frequently now, and let's see, I'm gonna make other games as well, and it just depends on the demand and I'm gonna supply. So that's how it's gonna be, and feel free to comment down below any thoughts of yours, and I'm gonna ask, what is your personal favorite Assassin's Creed game in terms of the story? Mine is obviously Assassin's Creed 2, and not even in terms of story, the whole, in everything, to me Assassin's Creed 2 is perfect. So I want to know yours, and I'll see you guys in the next one.